It has been exactly 1 month to this day.
To this day! To this day!
That we have been waiting for a new Kaiju number 8 chapter, and we got just that today. And first off, I gotta start with, I told y'all so. Firstly, I knew that Kikoru and this new Kaiju had to have some sort of correlation just with them posing in the same place in the Shibuya ward. It was way too much of a coincidence, so we did make that call on that. And then second off, you need to watch my Mina and Kafka relationship video because I've been saying it. They have a lot of respect for each other, and it might not ultimately end up in a love interest, but if it does, then awesome. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the story. Now, I think that Kaiju number 8, chapter 69, can be broken up into 3 separate parts. The first part is the 1 month time skip that we've had since the previous chapter. The second part is the war with the Kaiju has officially begun. And then the third and final part is the relationship thus far between Mina and Kafka. Now, with the first part, we've had about 46 days since we've seen anything happen from our last chapter. There have been no appearances from any Kaiju, which is honestly more scary for the defense force as well as citizens more than anything, because like they said in the chapter, this is almost like the calm before the storm. It's nice that we haven't had any attacks or emergences from Kaiju in the past 46 days, but all this means is that the Kaiju are all but ready for war at this point. That means that they are preparing the last few things that they needed, and at this point it's more like we're sitting ducks. Like we've said before, we have nothing that we can protect against because they always know where we're at, but we never know where they're at or where they're going to emerge from. So this is scary for us that it has been 46 days, but also a good thing at the same time, because even though it has been 46 days that the Kaiju have had to prepare, you also have to keep in mind that it's 46 extra days that the human side has also had to prepare as well. Now, with these 46 days to prepare, we've learned that Hoshina and Kikoru have been training together with their supposed weaponized suits. We know that Hoshina must be training with the number 10 suit, as well as Kikoru must be training with the number 4 suit, just like her mom. This is crazy to figure out, and honestly, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen whenever we get to see the emergence of them using these suits. Because if we go back to whenever we heard that Reno finally got to use the number 6 suit, let's use him for example, we figured out that Reno got to use the number 6 suit and got it to combat ready levels within 1 month of using that. So we basically saw Reno 1 month after training with the number 6 suit inside of that first mission that he had to do, right? Well, it looks like Hoshina and Kikoru are going to have just over that amount of time that Reno had to get ready for this Kaiju emergence that's basically happening now. Like we said, the war is starting, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, with that month that's happened, you have to imagine that Kikoru and Hoshina have both scaled themselves to immense power levels to be able to fight with these suits. It's literally causing earthquake sensations within the base that they're training inside of. So you know that these suits are going to go crazy, and I have a good idea of what I think that Kikoru is going to be like. But Hoshina's the one person that I'm worried for. I'm wondering what the number 10 weaponized suit is going to be like. Is it still going to have a will of its own like we saw before? Or is it going to be something that's completely subdued and number 10 no longer has any form of will on its own? As well as we know that Narumi is also training with the number 1 suit. So it'll be crazy to see all these people starting to use these suits because we're really starting to get into like the true climax of the story, dog.
To this day!
Now for the second thing that we're going to talk about, the war with the Kaiju is upon us, and let me start off by telling you this. It hasn't happened yet. Kikoru hasn't fought and beaten this Kaiju yet, but I told y'all this had some sort of correlation with Kikoru, bro. And I still think that there's a good chance that Kikoru is going to be the one that ends up fighting this Kaiju. I think that the earlier in the chapter was kind of foreshadowing that Hoshina and Kikoru have been training, and I think that this is going to be the first time that we get to see Kikoru take out a crazy Kaiju, and it won't be on her own, but she will do most of the feat by herself, right? But this Kaiju was wild. It was like a black-haired Kikoru that was just standing there on its phone. It was approached by 2 dudes that were just like, hey, what's up? Like, you trying to go get some lunch, like you and your friends? And the Kaiju says, I was just about to call my friends. And next thing you know, takes out everybody that's in the area by her. Now, whenever I looked at this panel and then read before that she said I was just about to call my friends, I'm kind of getting the feel that she might not necessarily be killing all these people that were all inside of that panel, right? I honestly think that there's a good chance that she's almost turning these people into zombies or more so puppets for herself. I think that there might be a chance that she'll be able to manipulate these people in some sort of way. It sucks that obviously this is how the chapter ended and we're just like, what? But wild to see and wild to know that this is officially the beginning of the war, y'all. Like, are we at our official climax of the story? Is everything going to build up to us versing number 9, and then once we beat number 9, is this all over? I don't think so. I think that there's a lot left to the story, and even then, just because we're starting the war doesn't mean that this is the end, right? Who knows how long that this war is going to last, but crazy start to the war nonetheless.
To this day!
Now for the third and final thing that we're going to talk about, it is Mina and Kafka's relationship. Now reading this chapter even more so supported my thoughts inside of my Mina and Kafka relationship video that I posted previously, where I think by the end of this story, both of them more than anything just want to keep their childhood promise to each other of wiping out kaiju together side by side. Now, seeing this chapter was still awesome because it was just funny, but wholesome at the same time with this interaction. You see Kafka get done training with Hoshina, and then after he gets done training with Hoshina, goes to find some place to go eat his lunch, and it just so happens to be the same place that him and Narumi were talking at that last time. But he sees Mina eating her lunch out there by herself, and right as soon as Kafka sees that, he's like, ooh, let me slide out of here and not eat lunch by her. But Mina's like, Kafka, don't be a stranger. Like, come over here and sit down and eat next to me. And whenever this happens, they both start talking for a second, and Mina says, Kafka, nobody is around. It's okay, like, just let down your guard. And from there, Mina just talks about how citizens are studying, citizens are working, kids are playing. It's almost like we're living in a kaiju-free world, exactly what we like imagined as kids. And Kafka just laughs to himself and is like, yeah, it really is like that. And both of them start reminiscing on moments as kids. They start talking about how no video games are destroyed right now. Cats aren't getting, you know, Mina's Miko the cat, but also just talking about other moments. Whenever there would be kaiju emergencies as kids, Kafka would always sprint to Mina's classroom and make sure that she was okay. Mina was like, you know, that was pretty embarrassing. And Kafka says, yeah, I feel you, but you were part of like the Kafka squad, so I had to make sure that you were okay. And it was awesome to just see these wholesome moments of them kind of just reminiscing back on days and thinking about what things are like now and how times have changed. But then right there, Mina says, Kafka, Hoshina told me about everything that you've been going through, and I just want you to know I've gotten stronger, so I don't need to hide behind you anymore. Like, we both made this promise to each other as kids, right? We said that we were going to wipe out kaiju together. And Kafka looks down and smiles to himself and says, yeah, we did. And it was awesome to see this. Right after that, Mina like gripped up her bag and started walking away and said, I'll see you later. Kafka like gripped his fist and said, nah, bro, like I gotta do this not just for myself, but for the future. And whenever he says the future, it's awesome because this means so many different things. He has to do this for the future of Japan. He has to do this for his future possible relationship with Mina. And more than anything, Kafka has to do this for his future self. He's finally getting to a place where he wants to be as a man. And now if he takes the proper accountability, who knows how far he can soar. So Kafka truly knows that this is the final and last chance that he has to do things right. And whether that's a hard path or an easy path, it doesn't matter for him. He's gonna get the job done. So a dope chapter after a 1 month break. I just have to go ahead and pat myself on the back because, bro, these predictions are coming out and they on point. They on point. But nah, other than that, man, I don't have too much to say. I feel like this was a pretty cut and dry chapter. What are y'all thinking about this new kaiju? Do you think that this kaiju was killing all those people? Do you think that my puppet theory could have some sort of weight to it? But nah, other than that, man, thank you for clicking on this video. Arigato. And outside of that, I'll catch you later. Peace.
To this day!